understandable. So I looked at her, and one thing I have learned, I don't do counseling, but I talk with a lot of people who do in psychology, psychiatry, and the ministry. And they tell me that everybody who comes to you with a problem are not necessarily looking for a solution. I couldn't understand that for a long time. Why do they bring you a problem if they don't want to solve it? Well, I can tell you why. They want to tell you about it, you about it, you about it, you about it, and you about it. And if you foul up the deal and solve the problem, they can't tell you again, you again. They want the attention that goes with the problem. And every company just about it has that kind of an individual. They want the attention that goes with griping and complaining. Well, I looked at the lady, and I wasn't unkindly, but firmly I said to her, yes, and you know, ma'am, I'm afraid your problem is about to get worse. She said, what do you mean? I said, I believe they're going to fire you. She was stunned. I couldn't have stunned her more if I'd hit her in the face with a bucket of ice water. She said, fire me? Why on earth would they fire me? The inflection in her voice clearly said, they're the bad guys. I'm the good guy. Why don't they fire them and keep me? Have you ever noticed that people who are the problem never recognize that they are? They're in complete denial. They think denial is just a river in Egypt. Why would they fire me? I said, ma'am, I don't believe there's a company in America big enough to contain this much poison in one small spot. Have you ever noticed that when somebody is about to lose something they've been complaining about, whether it's a car, a home, a mate, a job, or whatever, when all of a sudden it appears they're going to lose them, it takes on brand new value. She looked at me and said, well, what can I do? I said, do you really want to know? She said, yes, I do. That's the reason I came to see you. I came looking for help, but you sure haven't been any help so far. I said, well, ma'am, I've got an idea, and I will absolutely guarantee you it positively, definitely, absolutely will work if you will just do it. She said, I'll try anything within reason. I said, okay, when you get home tonight, all of your household tasks are complete. It's bedtime. Get off in a room right by yourself. Get a sheet of paper out, and at the top of it, write, I like my job because. She interrupted me. She said, that'll be easy. I don't like nothing about that job. Don't like nothing about those people down there. And I said, well, just as a matter of curiosity, do you work there for benevolent reasons, or do they pay you for working there? She said, well, I got to confess, they pay me. And I said, and you don't like to be paid? Oh, she said, yes, I do. I said, okay, tell you what you do. Open your notebook right now. We'll start our list of the things you like about your job. They pay you for working there, and you do like it, don't you? She said, absolutely. But she just stood there. I said, no, open your notebook now, and we'll get busy on the list. She just stood there. I said, ma'am, let me tell you what my experience in life has been. I've discovered that in 100% of the cases, no exceptions, people who won't take step number one never take step number two. You see, she had come to me with an impossible dream. Her dream was that nice Mr. Ziegler was going to solve all of her problems, and she would live happily ever after. But folks, I got news for you. I can't solve her problems. I can't solve your problems. But I will give you some steps that I'll absolutely, definitely, and positively will work for you, as it worked eventually for her. I said, well, ma'am, let me tell you something. Unless you're willing to take step number one right now, it's been nice talking with you. She angrily opened her notebook. Before we got through, there were 22 things she liked about her job. Not only did they pay her for working there, they paid her above average. She had 3 weeks vacation with pay. She had a retirement program. She was in on profit sharing. She had health insurance, life insurance, and accident insurance. She lived less than 10 minutes from home. She was in on management decisions. The company sent her to 3 seminars a year to be paid for. She had her own private office and parking place. 22 things that she liked about her job.
Hello.
Now I said, man, when you get home tonight, everything is finished. Get off in a room right by yourself, close the doors, change one word from I like my job to I love my job. Get in front of that mirror, and folks, I cannot say this strongly enough, but I'm going to try. The eyes are the
What's up, guys? We'll get ready. We'll get started in another minute or two.
Look yourself in the eye And
this
with
is a nice
excitement
short
and
link
enthusiasm,
that I have for
saying,
the
"I
call
like my
today, so
job
I'll keep it
because they
nice,
pay
short,
me
sweet,
for
and to
that.
the
I
point.
like my job because they pay
But
me
it'll
the
be
families
some
for
value,
that.
that's
I
for
like my
dang
job because
sure.
they have a wonderful insurance program. I love my job before every one of the statements. You will sleep better that night. You see, there's something hidden in what I'm saying to you now. When she says, I like my job, she's really saying, I'm grateful for my job. And of all of the emotions,
Give another
you can have,
60
according
seconds,
to
60
Hans
seconds,
Selye, the
everybody.
#1 stress specialist
Thanks for
in
hopping on.
America, the healthiest of all human emotions is gratitude.
We got River in the mix.
I said, you go down that list. I like my job. I love my job, rather. That is a way of gratitude.
Gotta go
You'll
around this way,
sleep
buddy.
better the first night. Tomorrow morning, when you get up, get back in front of the mirror just before you go to work. Get back in front of the mirror and repeat the process again with excitement and enthusiasm. I love my job because, and take the list with you. Because the reality is, you see, you will have started to change from a fault finder to a good finder. Some people do really find fault like there's a reward for it. They really do. Take the list with you, and you will be able to add to that list, absolutely guaranteed. Do this every morning and every night, and you will have an astonishing recovery from this advanced case of stinking thinking.
Don't want to have stinking thinking. Yeah, no stinking thinking. I love his accent. It just reminds me of my days in Alabama. Just they all talk like that. It's the greatest thing ever. It's amazing. All right, well, what's up, guys? We are recording this call for the few that can't make it. But for those of you that are here, thank you for being here. I'm very excited to produce some value for you guys. I hope it's some value. That's what we're thinking. That's what we're hoping for. But today we're talking about the ice cube effect. And some of you might have read this effect before or know it already, but I'll give you my take on it, and we'll just get right into it. Like I said, this call is going to be a shorter one because my link is only about 40 minutes. So we'll get the value real quick, sweet, and to the point. And next week, we will be live on YouTube. I'm excited for that for sure. I didn't realize that I had to apply for YouTube Live and then they lock it for 24 hours. So yeah, we'll just get that on there the next time, just so. I think it's really good to go on YouTube, especially because then people outside of our group can get value, as well as kind of start my own little mindset streaming access type deal, as well as just have all the links and recordings all in the same spot. And I think that's going to be great. I'm really excited for it. But yes, so starting with some gratitude. I'm grateful for all of you guys for being on this call. I'm grateful for my boy River, who's just hanging out with us as well. Can't see him, but he's a good old boy. For those of you that have met him, if you haven't met him, I'm sure you will at our next meetup. He comes with me everywhere, so he's our little mascot. He's a good boy. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the ice cube effect. Yeah, I still need to meet little Chachi. A little bugger. Yeah, River's a good boy though. He's great. But yes, the ice cube effect. So imagine that you're sitting in a room and you haven't turned on the heat yet. It's about 25 degrees and you have an ice cube sitting on a table in front of you. So you're sitting at 25 degrees, you turn the heat on, and the heat starts to rise. It goes up to about 26 degrees, goes up 27 degrees, goes up to 28 degrees. The ice cube is still sitting there. It's not melted. It hasn't moved, hasn't noticed anything. You notice that it's starting to get warmer in the room, but there's no visual change in the ice cube, right? So then then temperature goes up to 30, goes up to 31. Ice cube is still sitting there. And for some reason, when the temperature hits 32 degrees, the ice starts to melt. So you look at this ice cube and you start thinking like, well, what changed? there was no significant change between the first 6 degrees that were going from 25 to 26 all the way up to 31. There was no noticeable change. Maybe you felt a little bit warmer, but you never saw a physical change in the ice cube itself. But at 32 degrees, it started to melt, which is a drastic change, right? It's this compounding of change that forces this ice cube to start to melt. And a lot of us are sitting in our daily habits. We're working towards a goal, right? We're working on developing new habits. We're working on getting better at trading, right? But a lot of the times it's not going to be so much 25 to 26, 27 to 28. We're going to go from 25 degrees, we're going to build some momentum, we're going to go all the way up to 28 degrees, and then there's going to be a problem that comes in our life that causes us to stop. So although all that momentum goes back to 0, or it goes down a degree, or it goes down 2 degrees, right? And I think, especially for me, I feel like looking back, now that I know this information, I'm starting to pour into myself a lot more. There were a lot of times where I got all the way up to 31 degrees and I was so close to that breakthrough moment of the ice cube melting, but it was more my habits compounding on themselves to develop the results that I was looking for. There were so many instances where I probably got so close to my goals, but you didn't realize it because you didn't see any noticeable changes. So you gave up. I gave up. I stopped doing the morning routine, or I stopped being consistent with mindset, or I stopped trading every single day, or I just accepted the losses, the failures, and didn't work off of them, didn't work past them. So I got to 31 degrees, I stopped, and then the first day, you're still at 31 degrees, right? The second day, maybe you're still at 31 degrees. But that third day, you start to go back down to 30 degrees. You go down to 29 degrees. And eventually, if you take a whole week off, you're all the way back to 25 degrees and you got to start over. And it's just the best analogy that I could think of, that I read, that just shows the power of compounding your days in the right way, right? Like we're not always going to be going straight up. There's going to be days where you come back down. There's going to be days where you fail. There's going to be days that you have problems, that you have issues, that you have challenges, right? But it's about understanding that as soon as you hit 32 degrees, you're going to start to melt. You're going to start to see
Cortez
in your environment being manifested based on those 7 that compounded time, based on that compounded time. So it's a lot of the times when we're working, when we're starting new habits, we're not going to see results for months, for weeks, for months, for sometimes years, especially for new habits. Like for me, starting reading, I didn't really start to see myself building my reading comprehension until I started reading for months on end, for months and months and months. And it's the same thing with anything. Like if you are just starting to work out and you don't see noticeable changes in your physical form yet, that's okay. Because we know we have the vision, we have the ability to see the future if we believe in the future, right? If we have the ability to if ice has the ability to melt at 32 degrees, no matter how cold it gets, even if it goes -1 degree, if nature warms up the earth enough, that ice is always going to melt at 32 degrees. But it's all about working and understanding the process and knowing that as long as you compound those good habits and actually work towards that 32 and not give up, especially when you're getting close, we know that we're going to break through into that into that unbelievable moment where you start to transform into something else. And when it gets up to 32 degrees, then you start to see the changes in your physical environment. Then you get to 33, then you get to 34, and then you get all the way up to like 40, 45 degrees, and the ice isn't even ice anymore, it's water. It's transformed in an entire new being. It's transformed into something that you would have never believed that it could have happened if you've never seen it before. And that's a lot of where we are in our lives. Like, I've never seen generational wealth. I've seen it in my friends. I've seen it in my friends' parents who own businesses and car dealerships and law firms and, you know, all that. But I've never seen it in my own life, right? So I don't know what I'm looking for yet. I'm still ice, not even knowing that I have the ability to become water. And it's so important to understand that things take time. It's the same thing with earthquakes, right? We have tectonic plates that sit under all over the entire world, right? And every day, those tectonic plates they're rubbing, they're rubbing, they're rubbing, they're rubbing. Hundreds of years can go by, thousands of years can go by, hundreds of thousands of years can go by. But as soon as that pressure gets to be too much, it breaks. And then an entire earthquake destroys an entire area because of those hundreds, those thousands of years of built up pressure that finally broke out and became this obscene, crazy natural disaster that for most people it's a disaster, right? It harms their homes, it destroys their lives, some people die. But if you're not experiencing the earthquake from a personal experience, you can look at it as the buildup of energy, right? The buildup of these habits of click, 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 and then it finally breaks, and a huge breakthrough moment happens where unbelievable things can happen. And that's how we compound our interest. That's how we compound our growth. That's how we make sure that we're focusing on what we can do here and now, because the daily actions is what's going to get us to where we want to be. And for me, I had another analogy that I read that was really good, simply because I'm an artist. But they have, yeah, if it's not part of our environment, it's so difficult to see. Yeah, got rid of 100 pounds. Like that blows my mind that that's even possible, because I've never seen it. I've never experienced it myself. But that's amazing that Ty's been able to do that in her life. Like, absolutely crazy. But yeah, like one more analogy is you know, you got Michelangelo, and he's sculpting the Giovanna Battista, right? And he takes this massive, huge block of marble, and he's just going at it with a chisel. Every day. He's going to hit that thing 1,000 times every single day, at least, maybe 1,000 times an hour, right? And he's just going to chisel, 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 chisel. There's no noticeable difference. Days go by, weeks go by, months go by. And then eventually he hits it one more time and a crack goes through it. He hits it one more time and a huge brick of marble falls off of the sculpture. Now, to the unseen eye, they would look at that and see that last hammer and be like, oh, he's just superhuman strength. He did it in one, he did it in one hammer. But no, for those of us that understand process and compounding and building up energy, we know that it wasn't that last blast that did it, but it was the days and weeks and months that he spent hitting it every single day, tapping into that same habit, that same motion. And the growth, the breakthrough moment came from the compounding of that of that time, of that effort, of all those days of just hitting. And a lot of us are in those moments where we're so close, but we want to give up. And this past year, this is my first year in the business, and I've definitely had days like this. I've had, I'll have a week of bad trading, and then I stop trading for a month, where maybe if I just stopped trading and went back into education to get my mind back into the right moment or the right mode, I would have had a breakthrough the next week. I could have probably gotten my funded account if I didn't take those long breaks, because I felt bad and felt down about myself. And I'm sure a lot of us have times and examples where you felt those same situations. And so just understand that the time, the day where you want to give up, that day where you're so over everything, that's the day that you need to push forward. That's God telling you, okay, I know that he's losing faith right now. He's they're losing their faith. So we're going to test them today. We're going to see if they're ready for the glory that we're about to give them. Let's see if they've earned it. Let's see if they truly believe, no matter what is thrown at them, that they're going to continue to push towards their goals. Right? And a lot of the times I've failed. I've failed that test over and over and over again. But understanding and getting back into that focus where, the biggest thing that helped me was anytime I get a challenge now, I'm like, okay, word, you going to challenge me today? You want to test me today? Great. I'm ready. I'm good to go. Let's go. Right? You got to look at challenges in a different perspective. Because when I was getting challenges, most of the time when I do get challenges, even today, like, I get challenges, I get challenged, and then I want to release, right? I want to go smoke some weed. I want to go play with my dog, or just go to the beach, or, all these things. But after learning this information, you start to realize that that's an old paradigm getting back into your focus. And so we need to actually redirect that attention into unpacking the challenge, finding the solution, and then focusing on how we can put that solution that we've come up with into our daily habits again, moving forward, right? Instead of just focusing on the challenge and then bringing ourselves deeper into a hole. And I think that's really the best way to look at challenges. I think it's just so helpful to understand that there are so many things in nature that can become analogies and examples for us to understand that things take time. For everything, whether it's nature, human, dogs, health, healing, learning a new skill. Imagine what you could do if you did trading classes an hour a day for an entire year. Like how much better you would be just because of the daily access to that information. It's crazy how much compounding happens in your favor when you push it in the right direction and consistently do it. And I said this on the first call too, where it's like, developing the habit is so much more important than having the results. Like I'm still only running around 2 blocks every single morning, but I'm getting up and I'm running every single morning. I was so focused initially on, getting that 6-pack back, or getting to the physical fitness, getting to the physicality, the form that I'm looking to get, that I would start running 5 miles in a day. Like, yes, I can do it, but my body doesn't like it. My knees start to hurt, and then I take days off. So I started to realize that it's more about developing the habit and just making sure that you show up for yourself every single day. Doesn't matter what you do as long as you show up and as long as it's productive and in alignment with your goals. So that's kind of what I have to say today. I think that says everything. I think we just need to, focus on that compounding and understanding that your biggest challenge comes right before your biggest breakthrough. And it's so helpful, especially when you come into challenges, to be able to have a specific thought to go back into. Like if I have a challenge and I'm starting to think like I want to go and take a break, or I want to go watch some Netflix, or I want to go have a shot, or I want to go have a blunt, it's helpful for me to have a specific thought or a specific statement that I can drill into my brain that helps me kind of redirect that information that's being brought into my life. So let's say I have a challenge. Let's say I have a lot of losses in my trading day, right? My goal is $500, but I'm down $500. I could try to revenge trade, right? I could be like, no, I need that $500 today. I need it today. Or I could be like, I'm over trading. I'm done. Time to go. Happy hour starts at 12 noon today. That's mine. I'm going, and we're going to have some fun, right? I could do that. Or I could grab out my journal that I always have in my desk and do a journal entry and be like, okay, let's unpack what happened. Was I trading based on impatience? Was it emotions? Was it moving before the move? Like there was some way for me to find a solution as to what I did wrong, and then just kind of write it out. And that's really the biggest thing that helps me is just writing out all of these things that I did wrong in my trading, or whatever the problem might be. And it's so helpful to just write it all out. I've never been more calm after a disaster or a problem or a situation, or a challenge is what I really like to call it. I never had more relief than when I just write down all my thoughts, because then it's all on paper. It's like you're transforming your mind into paper, and it wipes it all away. And then you can go and meditate, maybe go work out, go do something, go this, that. And it's just so helpful. So that's kind of what I would suggest when it comes to challenges, and understanding that compounding is not going to be visible to you for a long time. You're not going to see results for a while, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because you can understand that each day you can feel your mind getting a little bit more in focus. You're starting to see things a little bit more clearly. You're starting to understand how things work, right? And I think that's very, very helpful to understand. So that's kind of what I have for you guys today. Let's see what we got here. What's everybody saying? Yeah, definitely. The biggest challenge definitely comes before the biggest breakthrough. It's like every time. It's crazy. Like the biggest challenge that I've had in the last 6 years was right before I got clean off drugs. Like, how does that happen? I have no friggin' idea. But after 7 years of struggling with drugs, I'm done. Just from the worst thing that could have happened to me in the moment. It's crazy. So understand that, and you're bound for amazing things. So that's kind of what I have for today. But if anybody has any questions, or if they want to say anything, if they have any, examples in their own lives, that's awesome. We can unmute you. But if not, we'll call it a day. And thank you guys for hopping on. Yeah, right. Yeah, you got robbed, car broken into, and then 2 days later your car got stolen and you still taught class. I'm pretty sure that teaching of that class is what got you to be an educator. Crazy. But it's because you decided to find the solution and act on the solution. And I firmly believe that. Crazy stuff. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording right there. Have a blessed day. Make sure you show gratitude to the people in your lives, and love you all. Thank you, Kenneth. You too, buddy. Thank you.
Love you, Pat.
Love you too, Ty. Have a good one.